Hello, why am I showing you a picture of a skull?
Go on, guess.
Well, it's because it's a Goodwill by the pound find. And I decided to do a little project with it. Now, what is the project? Well, I'll show you. You see, this is one of those anatomical models that you can either put together or take apart. And I left the top of the skull off so I could make it into a undead base. So the idea is that this would be on the table as part of a dungeon map. And you could just set it up so, oh my god, there's an actual bit of playable terrain in the skull. Obviously, the most expensive part of this craft is the plastic skull itself. That's why I was considering not doing this video, because, not everybody's gonna be lucky enough to find one of these at the thrift store, but, I think there's enough of these being produced where you stand a good chance at finding something similar to this, so it's not completely out of the question that you might be able to find the plastic skull. The rest of the stuff is just stuff I had around, the miscast resin dungeon tile and the cup. This is a gray base that I got. I believe that's from a Halloween glass, a Halloween plastic wine glass, something like that. The dungeon tile used for the floor is literally just a miscast dungeon tile that has been sitting in my bits box for many years, and it just fit. So I'm glad I kept it. The real issue is trying to get this thing level on the base. And eventually I did have to drill a hole and use a bamboo skewer. Here I'm trying to use a base to try to make it thick enough to sit in the actual hole itself. That didn't work, so eventually I did have to drill the hole and put it kind of in the center of the skull and secure it that way. I used some super glue and baking soda to secure the unhinged jaw upon the thing. And then I kind of got the centering right just by literally putting a miniature on there and smacking the table to see if the miniature used. That was my leveling technique. As you can tell, I'm an expert at this sort of stuff. And the ladder and stuff is just me just messing around until I got a configuration which looked kind of okay. The paint job, well, the paint job was pretty simple. Since this is not going to get a ton of handling, I decided I was just going to use a wash. I was just going to use a wash on the skull. It's just Army Painter Strong Tone. I figure it's just not going to get enough handling to the point where I have to worry about it wiping off or anything. So, yeah, just cleaned up the skull and then gave it a nice brown wash to make it nice and brown looking. And then I ended up not hitting the teeth so they would stay nice and pearly white. And then the base gets a nice black wash as well. And just a regular dungeon tile style paint thing for the actual floor itself. And yeah, I think it turned out really good. The brown wash method just always looks nice on skulls. Then I used some heavy pigment. This was the Ink Intensity by Scale Color to get the nice heavy pigment on the ladder leading up to the spinal cord hole in the skull. And then I had a similar ladder that leads into the actual thing itself. And then I had a nice little bit of Hearst Arts scenery in there, including the Hearst Arts trapdoor. And yeah, it's a very cozy little thing. And I did make it so most of this scenery is just scatter terrain. So you basically have the little bit of tiles here that you can do anything with. If you want to set it up like it's a secret bedroom, like the original setup, or if you want to set it up like it's just some sort of little magic conduit set up in some sort of Titan skull, some sort of thing like that. There's plenty of uses for this sort of thing, but it's also just a nice looking skull to put on your shelf that's nice enough that it looks like a decent enough shelf piece to put next to my potato stomper. So yeah, just a very simple craft. I think the only thing I really do in terms of like crafting knowledge is you really love the tacky glue stuff. You use some in securing the ladder and stuff. You know, you use a little bit of super glue. You use super glue and baking soda if you want a very quick, firm hold on something. And then you use the tacky glue and let that fully dry overnight to get a very, very tough bond between fiddly little bits like this. And again, pinning with a bamboo skewer stick. That's the first time I've done anything like that, but that, it's just like pinning with any other kind of material. It just worked out okay. So yeah, that was just a simple little thing. Probably not worth a video, but I decided to do it because it kind of looks cool, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody do a craft like this. If you know of anybody else who does similar craft, let me know in the comments below.